There she is.
Hello. Carl, you're so quiet. I need to turn you up.
I don't know why mine's doing that. Can you hear me?
About that much.
Oh, that's okay. We don't really care. How are you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, just sorting everything out. I've got so many orders coming and I'm just waiting for them all. And the thing is, my doorbell doesn't work. And my dog's out because normally I rely on my dog.
Oh, damn it. So what are you doing at the moment?
So mainly concentrating on glitchy wear. I still have online clients and posing clients, but my main focus is obviously glitchy wear and helping others with their mindset and their thought process.
Okay, cool. Because you've had probably, in my opinion, the most amazing transformation, but also multiple times. Like you go from bikini girl to like physique athlete, then back to bikini girl, then
I know. I know. A lot of people say that, and I actually had a reading about it, and one of the readings says, "I love change," and it's so true. I always say, "I love to change something." So it was funny actually having a reading, and for them to actually say that that's one of the qualities about myself, that I actually like change. So yeah, it's
because you don't just like, a lot of people, like myself included, I'm like, oh, I like change, and then I'll get like halfway to something, and then I'm like, well, I like changing back. So change, do it,
yeah.
tick it off, and then
Yeah, when I put my mind to something, like all my focus is on that. Obviously with bodybuilding it was, now my business it is. So anything that I had, like from bodybuilding, it's actually helped me to understand and put your focus solely on something. Because as you know, when you're dieting, you have to be consistent, you have to be full on it. And it's the same with any other aspect of your life. So it's really helped me have that kind of mentality, I think.
Yeah, it's the discipline behind it as well. That
Yeah.
I always thought I took that from, I guess, like sport when I was younger. Then you can take that into university, and like whatever it is, it's just that focus and that discipline to like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you mentioned as well meditation.
Yes. Yeah. I've been doing it now, well, practicing probably for, I would like to say a year, but it's kind of, it was in, like I was going through a stage in my life where I had a lot going on. There was a lot of change going on, and it was, to me, I found it very hard to cope with, as anyone does. Now, because all of this was going on, like I stopped competing, and that made me feel lost, because I'd always been, every year, this is my goal, this is the show, I had the structure, I had the goal in place, and then all of a sudden that had gone. So I felt like I'd lost my identity. I didn't know who I was. And that's the worst feeling so lost. And first of all, initially, I was actually looking up different mentors to help me find myself. Which something that I didn't actually end up going through with, because I met someone who's a very well-known athlete, not in bodybuilding, but in rugby, and he taught me about how he meditates, and how it's helped him with his anxiety and everything. Now, like I suffer from anxiety because I've got such a busy mind. Like I've got so much going on. I'm like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden you end up doing nothing because you're thinking about too many things at once. And to be honest with you, like if say, it's going to sound bad, but if say a like normal kind of spiritual person had said anything to do with meditation, I probably would have been like, you're a weirdo. Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it is that kind of whole cliche thing, isn't it? Like you imagine the way they're going to dress and whatnot. So it is, and it's because of his background. I was listening more about it, because I kind of respected it a little bit more, because I was like, oh, other people do it. It's not, do you know what I mean? So then I started practicing it, and you know, I go onto YouTube and I do, I've got about three or four that I particularly like myself. But I mean, prior to this, I, as I say, I suffer from like, at the time in my life, I was suffering from a lot of anxiety, and I was very, very low. I had a low point where I didn't want to get up in the morning. I dragged myself up every morning because I set myself this routine of, right, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to go out for a walk, and I'm going to listen to some positive YouTube motivational speeches and stuff, and then I'm going to come home, I'm going to put my candles on, and I'm going to listen to some kind of meditation. Now, it's like anything, like a habit of something. Obviously, then you start seeing the results of it. Because every morning for months on end, I just didn't want to get up. I felt so low. But after around about 3 hours, I was like, oh, I feel a lot better now. But it was always the morning, and I think when you do have low times in your life, or you suffer from depression or something, I think you always have a time of. I know some people, when I was speaking to them, they suffer for it more in the evening, and whereas mine was in the morning. So it's about, I think, with anything, like when you suffer from something, it's you have to make yourself do something, even if you don't want to do it. So as I said, it's like I woke up every morning, I got up, I had my routine, and then after a while, I know it sounds weird, but when they say, if you don't want to smile, smile, because after a while you'll want to smile. It's like you fake happiness, and after a while, you know, it becomes a habit, so you feel it more. And it was kind of like that. I was having this routine every day, and then after a while, I gradually started to feel differently, like the way I'd think about things, my emotions. I would, if I ever have, or like a spot where there's just so much going on, like that's when I just take a step back and kind of either go into like a meditation. It's like a mindfulness meditation, which is just I always listen to guided ones just because I find they help. Otherwise, I'll probably just sit there being like, "What's going on?" Whereas, yeah. So I have to have something like a speaking meditation to help me actually go into it. And the mindfulness helps you think about your inner thoughts and what you're feeling instead of the outer. Because obviously in bodybuilding, we're always looking at the outer body. And for like all my life, practically, that, you know, I've been training, so that's 17 years, I've only looked at the outer, and I've never actually looked at emotions or my thoughts. And that's probably why I've always been a very cold person. I would think really nice things. I'd be like, oh, I'd love to give them a hug, but I wouldn't do it. I'd think to myself that they know that I want to do that, but it would obviously never happen. So now I find that the meditation and everything is just helping me kind of with my thoughts and the way I see life, and how I'm more grateful for things. But it's like anything, it's not a miracle. It's something that you have to practice every day, because otherwise you never become better at it.
Yeah, it's actually a bit of a skill, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You were like,
And it's things like I'm grateful for that I've got all my limbs, because there's people out there that haven't. You know, like I'm looking at, last night I was driving and I saw the sunset. There's people that can't see things like that, or there's people that can't drive. You know, so there's everything to be grateful for. And when you actually start thinking about these things every day that you're grateful for, your mind changes. I mean,
yeah, we're so negative as like an output, and
yeah,
even things like, oh, you go to a restaurant and you're much more likely, you know, if you had a bad meal at a restaurant, you're probably going to write a bad review. You
yeah,
never, you're just like, oh, I'll expect that. Like, there's no sort of gratitude there.
yeah,
It's so I try and do that consciously now. Like, if something is really good, even though maybe that's what should be expected,
yeah,
I'll give a compliment there.
yeah,
Whereas or I might be like, well, I expect that. Whereas if it's something was bad, I'd be like, oh, well, that's absolutely not, not okay.
Yeah,
It's, I guess, trying to show the positives. Do you write down like a gratitude list, or
I
do you?
do. Yeah, I do. I've some. You know what? I have different routines, so every day I'm not going to do the same. And the reason because I do this is because when I was doing it as a routine that, oh, it's this one I'm listening to every day, where it became, like in bodybuilding, like you're prepping and you're doing your cardio and everything becomes a chore, doesn't it? It's like, oh my God, my cardio again. Whereas when you're not prepping and you don't have to do it, you're like, oh, I'm going to go outside and do some cardio. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it became a chore. So now I don't do the same things every day. I do practice it every day, but it might be right. Today I'm going to listen to an I am meditation. Today I'm going to listen to a mindful meditation, or it might be that I just sit there and reflect of all the good things that have happened that day, or what I'm grateful for, or I'll write them down. So everything's different, but I'm still practicing everything.
I think as well, like gratitude lists are amazing, but like you're saying, they can almost become a bit stale if you're
Yeah,
like look for every day and say, "Oh, I'm grateful for waking up again," like yesterday, and it
yeah,
resonate in the same way if you do it as like a chore, almost like you were
yeah.
saying.
I
But yeah,
think it's things that you have to do to make you actually think. Because today I actually I wrote down three people, like friends that I'm grateful for, and why I'm grateful to have them in my life. Um, and because I had to think about each one separately, then I was like, I got quite emotional. The thing is now, because I'm practicing all that, I'm more in touch with my emotions. I'm an emotional mess, right? Because I was like, I was writing these down. I was like, oh, oh, and because you don't realise, or you don't actually think about your friends in different ways. Like, why are you grateful to have them in your life? What qualities do they bring? And when you actually think about it, that they're all separate and all amazing in their own ways, but you don't. And I've never actually thought about them in that way.
oh, that's so
So
nice.
yeah, so that was one thing I did today. I actually wrote them down, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna text them why I'm grateful and thankful
Oh,
for them to be in my life. Because I thought, well, I'm writing it down so I know, but I want them to know too.
yeah. I mean, did you get a text back being like, "Is everything okay?" Like you're not.
I didn't actually, but you know what? Sometimes when I say something on like a story or something, I do get, "You're right, babe." I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Just thought it was a like whatever. Yeah. I think what you were saying as well about like that for you, if you're feeling low, like the morning is the worst time. And for people, like identifying that is quite important because they know that like that the morning is going to pass. So you're like,
Yeah,
right, okay, the morning's going to be hard, but I'm going to get through it. And by the afternoon, I know that if I, get out of bed, do a walk, and listen to something positive, I usually feel better.
yeah,
So you can like, I will feel better. And the same with the evening. It's like, okay, I'm not feeling great this evening, but I know that tomorrow's a new day. I wake up and I generally feel better. So I guess like knowing
yeah,
that bad time will pass.
yeah.
It,
I do find that, but what I think helps, and I think this is really important, is it's everyone suffers from emotions and everyone suffers from anxiety in some form, but it's you actually realizing what makes you suffer from it and what triggers it. Because I could be having I could feel quite anxious, but if I sit down and think, right, the reason I feel anxious is because, let's say, right, I've had an issue with one of my orders for work. My I don't know, I can't think of anything. It's always the way. But if you know why, or maybe you're having trouble in your relationship, if you know why you're feeling that way, then that's a step forward. Because there's a lot of people who label themselves with, oh, I'm just really anxious. But if they're not actually connecting that feeling with their emotions, then they'll never be able to deal with it.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think another point that I guess sort of fits in with that is wait, it's kind of gone from my head, but I guess knowing, yeah, like if you're anxious about something, identifying it. And I quite like the saying of like, if it doesn't matter today. Like say your order was late, like yeah, it's annoying, and maybe you have to message a few of the people you're delivering to and saying like, look, I'm really sorry it's gonna be late. But in a month, will that matter?
Yeah,
No. You
exactly.
won't even remember yet today, you're letting it ruin your day. And I think trying to take a step back and have that perspective, or even if
Yeah,
you do feel really anxious, take 5 minutes, sit down and be like, right, I'm just going to write down why I'm anxious.
yeah.
And then, okay, well, actually, it's not that big a deal. I can move forward with my day, and hopefully those feelings have like at least diminished
Yeah,
slightly.
and it's that saying, cope, control what you can, cope with what you can't. I
Yeah.
always love that saying because it's so true. Like there's certain things like that I can't control, but I can control the way I deal with the situation. So it's looking around at everything what in a different kind of way, because you could, as I say, like any situation could be negative, but there's always something positive to come about everything, even if it doesn't feel like that at the time.
Yeah. I mean, and it's totally your choice to see the positives or
Yeah,
see the negative. And things like, I don't know, when a train's delayed, it's like, oh, this is really annoying. But actually, what's the point of stressing about it? It's completely out of your control. You can do
yeah,
absolutely nothing. You don't get yourself all anxious up about it, and try and find a positive. Okay, this means I've got half an hour sat here. Maybe I'll do some emails that I wouldn't have done, or I don't know, whatever it is. But I guess just trying to find any positive in every situation. Um, and you'll find that, or I find this, like my mates that I enjoy being with the most are the ones that find positives in every situation. Like
yeah.
I remember flying back from Spain a couple of weeks ago, and we got back to my car, and the battery was dead. And this was like the middle of the night, and we had to call the AA, and it was like honestly just like the last one after like a full day of traveling. But it was funny because like my mate Sarah was like, "Well, you know what? Like this is what
Yeah,
happened."
yeah,
There's
exactly.
nothing.
As long as you're like surround yourself with people who bring you up, then you can all feed off each other. So, and then because you're doing that, you don't have that negative, like that negative surroundings or like auras around you. Whereas it's like as soon as someone says something negative, it does bring you down. So it's
Yeah.
kind of I like obviously we all have people, and it could be people, say family or whatever, that you can't get rid of. So it's figuring out, um, instead of instead of absorbing that negativity, just kind of listen to it, but don't take it in. Now that's really really hard, because I do find that I become an agony aunt sometimes, and which I like. Don't get me wrong, but I do have a tendency to absorb it. So when they're like, "Oh my god, I feel so much better," I'm like, "Oh my fucking god, I don't." Yeah. So it's that kind of, again, it's learning how to take things but not actually absorbing it, because you can't banish yourself from the world, but what you can do is learn how you actually control everything and absorb everything.
I think that's such a good point because a lot of people, like you would have heard this advice, just cut out negative people in your life, and it's like can't cut out like some of them are your mates, some of
Yeah,
them are your mates if you really want, but if someone's negative, it's not. Hopefully they'll maybe change, but you can't just cut out every negative person. It's just a ridiculous statement. Like, but you can, like you were saying, learn how to deal with them.
yeah.
And
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 don't
also,
and don't forget, there's all points in our lives that we're negative.
yeah,
So we need people to lean on, but then at the same time, that's when you kind of, I think, um, you need good friends to just say, you know what, get the fuck on with it.
yeah,
Because anyone can have I don't really class a friend as someone who's like, oh, it's all right, you know. It's more like you need friends to talk to that could be like, right, I know this situation's bad at the minute, but you've got this, you've got this, you know. They're talking to you about other things, because when I was at my lowest, I had so many people say to me, it's going to be all right, it's going to be all right. And my thing was all the time was, I know it's going to be okay, but you know what? I'm not okay right now. And I know that's okay not to feel okay right now, but I don't need you telling me that it's going to be okay, because I know, but right now it's not.
And that's a brilliant point as well. And I sort of always like to see it as like, this is the situation you're in. How are we going to change that? That you get, like, you will have had, because you worked as a personal trainer for a long time, like, you know, someone who comes to you, they're not happy with their body, they're very low about that. And I try and see it as a positive, like, this is your starting point. It doesn't matter what you weigh on the scales to start with. Like, I couldn't care. Like, it's just a starting point. And what are we going to do from here to make things better? Who cares in the past? Like, yes, you've got yourself to a stage you're not happy in your body, but you've also taken a positive step to contact me or whoever it is, that you're ready to make this change. What are the positive changes we're going to make? And like, what, as opposed to the sort of negative outcomes of that. And the same is true, like, I run so many fat loss groups at the moment, and if there's like one negative person in there, it can just spread, like, so like it just spreads everywhere. And I think they don't realize that either, that, you know, your negativity, you might be being just negative about yourself, like, oh, I'm not happy with my results, or I don't like the way I look, but actually that's contagious. Like, negative things about yourself also inflicts like negativity on other people. So I think knowing that and trying to avoid unnecessarily being negative, and it's never going to help you. Like, negative self-talk, you're the one that speaks to yourself in your head all day. So if you're speaking to yourself in a negative way, you're going to be negative all day. I like this saying of, again, a bit cheesy, but like, speak to yourself the way you would speak to a friend. Like, you would never speak to a friend like that. Like, you would never be that mean, that critical. And so I guess that's a sort of good outlook. Like, speak to yourself the way you speak to someone else.
And you have to realise that everything's a choice, because we all deal with obstacles and situations, but it's what you do with that. Because, like, for me, I'm grateful for every obstacle and every low I have, because the only thing it does to me is think, how can I change this? What's the solution? And that's how you grow. You don't grow when you're enjoying everything, because you're all like in this world as, oh my God, everything's amazing. It's only when you have a situation or obstacle when you're like, right, what can I do to solve this? How can I change? And you have to, that's when you're looking around about everything of how you can improve. That could be with your business or with training. You could be like, my training plan, shit, I'm not getting results. Why aren't you getting results? What can you do to change it? Is there exercises that you think that could work better for you? It's how you look about things. And I always say to my clients, when they're like, oh, I have trouble doing this, I have trouble doing that, and I ask them, what do you need? Because that's the question you have to ask yourself. I can't answer that for you, but if you tell me what you need, then I can help you. So it is everything. Everyone has to understand that everything in life's a choice, and you can choose to make something better. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's a relationship where it's going wrong. Now, is it going wrong? Is it something that is because both of you aren't doing something right? Could you change something that you're both doing? Is it because you're just both not meant to be? Because I've had situations where it was the wrong time in my life, and I was lost as a person. They were probably around about the same. And then you both grow into people that you kind of thought you had met in the first place. So, or is it to do with work, the environment you're not happy with? Now, is this to do with the job, or is it to do with something else in your life? Because it might not necessarily be the job, or it might not be the relationship. It might be because something else in your life is the other puzzle's missing, and that needs to be figured out. So yeah, I think it's really important for us to get to know ourselves so we can look at everything in a different way.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I saw something on Instagram the other day, it was again a little cheesy thing, but I guess if you're in a position where you're not happy, what are you going to change to make that better? And the quote was something like, a lot can change in 30 days and a lot
Yeah,
can stay. And I think that's the point, is that a lot of people stay in unhappy relationships, unhappy jobs, you know, not getting the results they want because they
yeah,
don't do anything. Like,
yeah,
if you're now, what are you going to change to make something different? Because
yeah,
as if nothing changes and you'll just continue going along that road.
yeah. I mean, even with gluten wear now, I would have never visioned myself walking down the street and asking a woman if I can feel their leggings. You know, because I'm like this radar. I'm like, I wonder what they feel like.
All right.
It's like it is, and you see, like as you say, you have to you have to be in touch with yourself, because you have to find out what makes you happy, because it could be that you're doing something in life that isn't actually your mission, because we're all on here to do a certain thing, and I know that my thing is to help other people, and that could be through clothing so they feel good, they feel amazing, they feel confident. I want to empower women, and at the same time it could be organising. I'm actually organising a workshop seminar about mindset, thoughts, meditation, empowerment, how to change your thoughts. So my mission in life is to help others. It doesn't matter what aspect. Everything is to help others feel good and feel more confident about themselves. So I think it's really important to find your what you're born to do.
That is a brilliant point, but I think that comes from living.
It
Like you
comes
did,
with age. It
yeah.
comes with age.
This was sort of what you were going to do, what you found you were passionate about, what you're really good at when you first started out. Like you would, you know,
Yeah,
I've known X amount of years you were doing like modeling, sales, competing, all this, which all has, in a way, built you to be perfect to do what you do now.
yeah,
And all the experiences you've had have brought you there. So I think when your advice is completely right, but a lot of people take that in the wrong way and they think, right, well, I'll stop everything I'm doing now to figure out what my calling
yeah,
is.
yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not, because everything's a process. You know, from when I started competing, or actually, let's go from right before that. I at 21, I didn't start training until I was 21, and I only used to do cardio. The reason I started training is because I had a really bad relationship with food since I was 15. And this started because I was the bubbly fat girl at school. No one fancied. I was just a laugh, which is all well and good, but you know what? You want someone to fancy at the same time. So because of this, I started reading all the girly mags and everything, and they had how to lose weight and, you know, all these kind of gimmicky things. And I started having a bad relationship with food then. And then I got into fitness, and I started. It was 21. I woke up one day because I used to go out with my friends, and I used to have to get drunk before I went out because my self-esteem was so low that I didn't feel good about myself. And instead of cancelling with my friends, which on a lot of occasions I did, I had to drink before I went out. So after kind of having that, it was just, and it sounds so cliche, but it's true. I woke up one day and I thought, well, you know what? No one can change me apart from me. And that's when I joined it was actually my school gym I joined, because even though it was my school, it was like separate, so you could just pay as you go. And I started doing cardio. I started reading up more on nutrition. I started losing weight. And then it came to a point that I wanted more, say, muscle tone, because I was just losing weight. So I looked like a beanpole, to be fair. I was just like straight up and down. Um, and then it was until I joined a bigger gym that I started getting into weight training a lot more, because I built up my confidence. It was one session, because you know when you look at the you look in the gym and you're looking at the weight session and you're like, oh my God, it's so intimidating, I can't go down there. There was one day when it was quiet and I dashed down there, went on it, and I was like, I don't know what I was worrying about. You know, it's like, and you build up this massive thing, don't you? So anyway, so I started weight training, started getting into it more, started reading up more on nutrition. And it was one day a PT said to me, they said, oh, you should look in competing. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. Didn't know what it was, so I Googled it. And then that's when I competed for my first show in 2008. And the photographer at the time, the journalist backstage, I won my first show. And he said to me, what do you want out competing? And I was just like, I was so scatty. I was just like, I just want to be on all the magazines. And he was like, all right, mate. You know, like he walked away and he was like, yeah, whatever. And I just thought, you know what, I'll show you. And that's when I focused on that. And I actually became the most published female fitness model at the time. Obviously, you know, magazines and everything aren't as popular as they used to be, because it used to be magazines. So at the time that was yeah. Like I just had that big spurt of like everyone, I suppose, wanting me or whatever. So then I spent 3 years of doing that, and then I started competing again in 2009, up and down from figure. Then I went back down to bikini, just because I wanted to lose muscle. I wanted a different goal. And then I like weight training. I like weight training heavy. So then I was like, you know what, this isn't me. I'm going to go back. So I competed back in figure. And over the years, where I was, my nutrition was spot on. My consistency with training and continuing to progress with my training was spot on. That obviously it's inevitable you're going to grow through Women's Physique in 2015. And that's when obviously I won my pro card. And then I competed. My last show was in 2017, and then that's obviously where I've transitioned myself in a different way now. So that's
again.
Huh?
You won't compete again.
It's not something on my mind. I always say never. Not in that category, no, because I was told I needed to get bigger, and for me that's not something I wanted. I don't mind being smaller, but I don't want to be bigger. So that's when I made the choice of, right, I'm going to have the physique that I feel comfortable with every day. Whereas when I was competing in Women's Physique, I loved the training. I loved the outcome on stage, like what I'd achieved. But a lot of the time I was uncomfortable because I had to eat so much to grow. I was uncomfortable being that size. I went up to 180 pounds, and that's too much for me. That's like what, 13 stone or something. That's just too much for my frame.
You're tall.
5'5".
What?
Yeah.
I thought you were taller than that.
No, so for my frame, that's really quite big. I found it hard to get up the stairs because I had to force feed food to grow. That's what you have to do if you want to grow. But a lot of people don't understand that. You know, if you want to grow, you have to eat to grow. So it came to a point where I was like, you know what, I don't want to get bigger, and I had to be realistic. Like, am I going to get any further in competing? Could I get to Olympia? Yes, I probably could get to Olympia. Would I place well? Realistically, no, I wouldn't.
It's a huge sacrifice.
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
it could be quite a small reward.
Yeah, exactly.
And what you put on that reward, like, you know, if that was your sole thing, like, I always want to go to the Olympia, and that would be enough for me.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be, you know, if you're like, going to the Olympia isn't worth that. sacrificing this much of my life.
No, it's not. And the thing is, anything that you want to be good at, it doesn't matter if it's bodybuilding, if it's work, if it's a relationship, you have to give 100%. And when you give 100%, sometimes it's inevitable that other things are going to fall. So everything around me was second place. Now this is okay because I've learned so much and I've achieved so much from this, and it's helped me focus on other aspects to obviously help do well and succeed in other things. But it came to a point where I thought I can't do that anymore. I need to give me some time, one, to get to know me, but to achieve other things and see life, because I haven't seen the world and I haven't appreciated the world, because I've only appreciated a small bit that I've actually been in. So yeah, so you know, as I say, competing is a fantastic achievement, a fantastic tool, but unfortunately, especially for women, there's not a lot in it, money wise, but there is umbrellas. So you've got competing, you've got your online coaching, you've got your personal training, you've got obviously my clothing business, Glutewear. So you've got all of these other umbrellas that will help you, competing will help you with. So it's a fantastic thing to do. It's just, I find that these days a lot of people think they're going to do one show and win. I remember when I did my first show, I had no expectations at all. I was just so proud of myself for what I've actually achieved, that I was just happy to be there and enjoy the process. Whereas I think there's so much hype now that people get very down if they don't win. And it's not just about winning, it's about how you've changed as a person, what you've achieved, how you've dedicated yourself. You know, there's so much more into it that people don't appreciate and realise.
Yeah, I think it's probably it's different now that social media is so big as well, because people know you before you step on stage, whereas before it was literally like, who's coming, stepping on stage, the best physique win. And now there's a bit more politics in it, you know, who's popular, you know, would it look good if so-and-so had a pro card in our category, in our division, like, you know, what's going to be best for the sport as well. And so I think there's a few other things that sort of creep up, and that's probably why you would very unlikely to win your first show now, even if you had the best physique on stage.
Yeah.
No, anyway, I will let you go, but that has been amazing.
Thank you. It's good to talk to you. I haven't seen you for so long.
I know.
You don't look any different though. I think you actually look younger.
Oh, thanks.
All right, my dear. Where's my Gatorade? Sod off and drunk it. Go and get your own. See you later.